Hellboy, you saw me standing alone. What if every video I did from now on just starts with me singing Over Blue Moon with the lyrics changed slightly? Nah, I'd never do that. Wink. Now, I don't know if you're in the know like me, a widespread, fuck, what am I going with this? Now, I don't know if you're in the know like me, a guy who has his fingers in all of the comic book publisher pies, because I got my sources, man. I'm an influencer. But there's a new Hellboy movie coming out in April, one based more upon the comics. So I figured, why not release a new Hellboy video about a month before it comes out, to get some extra views for people searching who the hell Hellboy is. Also, I released my first read view of Hellboy about a year ago, so make sure you check that out by clicking that little boxy box up in the corner to check that out, if you haven't already. A few updates from that previous video. I still love Mike Mignola and his artwork, I have this little red guy, and I'm still excited to see David Harbour as Hellboy. I'm still very hopeful after seeing that trailer. I know a lot of people aren't, but I am. So, released in 1997, written by Mike Mignola with art by Mike Mignola, this is Hellboy Volume 2, Wake the Devil, for Dracula and all those other vampires I have loved. The book begins somewhere on the coast of Norway, inside the Arctic Circle. A helicopter flies above the frozen water and touches down next to a large castle. The passenger gets out and says that if they don't return in an hour, for the pilot to lift off and contact Mr. Pope. The man then clambers through the snow and breaks his way through the window of the castle, and he climbs inside and discovers 2 skeletal remains of Nazis. Then he discovers a familiar logo on the wall and presses the Nazi-branded button. This causes machinery inside the walls to clang back to life, and the floor begins to descend into a frozen basement.
Stay where you are! Who are you? How did you find this place? Speak quickly! I am aching to destroy you!
That's what Germans sound like, right? This is probably why I don't have a lot of viewers from Germany. The man in the fur coat screams that the Master sent him as Karl Cronin and Ilsa Hopstein order him to explain himself. The man tells him that he owns a small little island in the Caribbean, and one day he was walking along the beach when he noticed a man dressed as a monk who somehow knew his name. The man told Roderick that his life serves no purpose, so he'll give him one. Then he disappeared and the words Ragnarok appeared in the sand below. He must have some weird-shaped feet for those to be his footprints. Roderick continues that he is to give the 3 Natsmigos everything he has, including but not limited to money, people, equipment, property in both North America and Europe, and political connections. Cut to the BPRD headquarters. 1 year later, Director Manning and Professor Kate Corrigan give a presentation on the portrait of Vladimir Giurescu. Giurescu was a military officer during the Napoleonic Wars and seemed to always just be around, always at big events and battles and whatnot, and he was eventually referred to as Giurescu the Devil. Unfortunately, at a battle, he was wounded and the camp doctors gave him an hour to live, but his servants insisted on carrying him home, and 2 weeks later he came back as right as rain. That happened 7 different times. Cut to 1882, a letter detailing that Giurescu is actually a vampire who is arriving in England to establish a secret evil empire, is sent to like the Queen or someone by an occult expert. In 1944, Heinrich Himmler created a project called Vampirstrom, and the Nazis were sent to Castle Giurescu to recruit him to the war effort. In December 1944, Ilsa Hopstein and Giurescu met, and a day later, the arrest for Giurescu was issued. Copies of Gestapo records were found showing the arrival of one V. Giurescu and 6 other special prisoners, along with an order calling for the extermination of the Giurescu family, signed by Hitler. In 1956, 3 former Dachau guards testified that they were all present at the execution for all 7 prisoners who were impaled and decapitated, then burned, and their ashes were sent to Hitler himself. People always say that, like, rhino horns or whatever, when you ground them down, they enlarge your penis, but it's really the ashes of a vampire. But it's really expensive. Trust me. And finally, like a few days ago, a man was shot to death in his wax museum. He used to be a, like, freak show / chamber of horrors / nightclub owner in Berlin, which was very popular with the occult crowd. At the Wax Museum, the BPRD found the symbol for the Ragnarok Project, drawn in the curator's blood on the floor. Also, the only thing that seems to be stolen from the museum is an 8-foot-long crate labeled Jew Rescue Lot 666. That's a bit on the nose. Dr. Hoffman explains that he and the psychics inspected the entire building and that they were all disturbed by the atmosphere, describing a tall, evil-looking man in a Napoleonic uniform. Manning says that they are forced to consider the worst-case scenario, that someone has stolen Jew Rescue's body with the intention of returning it to his castle, where the full moon will reanimate it. Also, that full moon is tomorrow. Unfortunately, they aren't sure where the castle is. They've made 3 guesstimations and are thus sending 3 teams. Mr. Clark, who is totally not Nick Fury, is with Abe Sapien. Mr. Waller is with Liz Sherman, and the new guy, Sidney Leach, and Hellboy has to go alone.
Hey, no fair.
Later, Hellboy says that he's surprised Liz is back. Later, as they're getting ready to leave, Hellboy says that he's surprised that Liz is back already, and she tells him that she just needed some time off, and then says that he also could use a vacay, and Hellboy's like,
Fighting monsters is how I keep my girlish figure.
Then he meets his friend Kate and asks her to come along, but she's like, oh, sorry, Manning said this case was for real Bureau field agents. Then she asks him if he believes it's actually a real vampire case, but Hellboy tells her it's just a bunch of crap. Cut to Romania. A creepy bird stands around. In Castle Giurescu, Ilsa recites The Tiger by William Blake before telling her love that she is sorry for what happened. Then she says that Hitler is beyond their revenge. But the world isn't. She then orders some Nazis to carry the coffin downstairs to the reanimation room. Cut to Norway. Cronin and Leopold, whatever his last name is, watch this, like, security camera footage they set up in the castle somehow, and they wonder if they sent Ilsa out into the world a little bit too soon. And Leopold says that if Giurescu really is a vampire who can create an army, he's certainly a valuable tool to them. Cronin tells him that he thinks the whole vampire army thing is a bad idea, and that he has more faith in his own weird zombie monster army. Cut to above Romania. Abe asks if Hellboy is disturbed by the Nazi involvement in this case, especially with the whole Project Ragnarok thing, but Hellboy tells him that he's fine. Hellboy says that he has liked not knowing how or why he was brought to Earth, and that he's been doing it for 52 years and it hasn't caused any problems. Then he calls the mission a wild goose chase. With 5 minutes until the drop zone, Hellboy suits up with a sweet jetpack.
Jeez, Boyd, I hate these goddamn things.
This is a new and improved model. That's your ignition switch, roll your shoulders to turn, and watch your tail. The bomb bay doors then open, and Hellboy jumps out.
New and improved, my ass! Ah!
Those 2 fools have been gone for hours. You go see what's keeping them.
Me? I am not going down there.
Not going? You dog, how dare you speak to me? You should get down on your belly and beg. Beg! Ah, the American ghost hunter, Hellboy. Kill him.
No, Nazi!
The Nazi soldier panics at the sight of Hellboy and jumps out of a window, leaving Hellboy to fight the Nazi cyborg Unmensch. Unmensch fires his robotic hand and clocks Hellboy in the face before the arm shoots around his body and cracks down on his skull. Hellboy grabs the chain and rips it off, and then he beats Unmensch with his own fist. Hellboy begins to walk toward Ilsa when Unmensch begins to get back up, so Hellboy launches his fist into his face again, embedding his bald head into the stone floor, causing it to crack and crumble. Hellboy falls into the darkness with Unmensch's body. Meanwhile, Ilsa has a flashback to that fateful night on Tarmagant Island in 1944. The Nazi with the swastika monocle chews out Rasputin for failing to ensure victory for the Reich, and that Hitler's gonna be pretty mad.
I have not failed, von Krupp. I have set into motion events which cannot be reversed or undone. I promised Herr Hitler a miracle. I have made one. But you will not live to see it, General. My miracle is for the future, for the new Reich. There is no place for your kind in that world.
Later, Rasputin sort of walks off into a field, and Ilsa asks if she will live to see the new world, and Rasputin tells her that her faith to him has saved her. Then Cronin and Leopold appear from somewhere, and Rasputin tells them of Nazi Germany's fate. Back in the present, Ilsa is visited by the ghostly form of Rasputin, and he's like,
Come, walk with me, talk with me. You have done all you can in this place. But you will see Giurescu again. He will be young and strong, as you remember.
Then Ilsa's like,
But you're dead. How are you here?
True. I was speared through by a whaling man's harpoon thrown by a fishman. My body all burned by elemental powers loosed from a girl. My bones scattered by he who should have been my servant. I have wandered among the doomed spirits, and beyond, past the limits of this narrow earth dimension. I sought the dark behind the stars, the pit, the prison hole of the dragon, Agtru Jahad.
Back in the basement of the castle, Hellboy awakens to find the big Nazi's arm lying in the dirt next to him, with a trail of blood going off into the darkness. Hellboy continues to track down the incredible amount of blood that was left behind, and he rounds a corner and discovers a figure hunched over a dismembered leg.
Hello?
Kiss your ass goodbye, freak.
Oh no, youngster. You don't want me. It's the boy you want. Yes. Vladimir Giurescu. Oh, yes.
Where is he?
The little creature of the night leads Hellboy to the tomb of Giurescu's wives, and the creature tells Hellboy that they are now all gone.
Ilsa Hopstein brought them to Germany.
No good Nazi bitch. Don't trust her, I said. Don't trust her, I said. Stay at home, I said. But no, he likes this little German girl, wants to see her modern world.
You know not to trust the Nazis.
I know things, but no one else listens to me. No one listens to me. It's a rare thing when they remember to feed me. Now, the boy is home, but they don't let me see him. She is coming.
You mean Ilsa?
No, her. I found her. I saved her from those Greek fishermen that pulled her out of the cave. They thought that she was dead, but I knew better. That was 1492.
Then the old man shows Hellboy a large tome open to the section of Lamia, a queen who used to sleep with Zeus until Hera got pissed, killed her children, and caused Lamia to turn into a giant monster that kills other children for revenge. And then Papa Giurescu tells Hellboy about how his son can reanimate, and Hellboy asks where Giurescu is, so the little vampire attacks him but gets clocked in the face, causing his head to roll off and light on fire. Hellboy treks further into the catacombs and finds the moon room. And lying in the center is Giurescu's coffin and 3 severed heads. Then Hellboy turns around and finds giant ravens staring at him.
Too late.
Then the birds transform into the women of Thessaly, or however, I don't fucking know, I'm not gonna look up how to say it. They're like witch birds who really want to fuck and love the moon. Hellboy gets pecked and clawed by these giant bird women, and he tries to use his handgun, but it fucking jams and explodes in his hand. So he picks up this old rusty sword stabbed into the ground and brandishes it as the women of Thessaly fly away, and the coffin lid blows off, slowly rising from the dust is Vladimir Giurescu. Blessed moon, mother goddess, see how Giurescu becomes himself again. Kill him, he does not die. Burn him, he will not be consumed by fire. Truly, he is much more than human, more like unto God.
Oh, shut up. When I do you, you'll be done.
Insolent beast!
Troglodyte!
Big talk for a guy with no pants.
Hellboy charges Giurescu and launches at him, but Giurescu turns into a giant raven. Hellboy stabs him in the stomach as giant ebony wings begin flapping above his head as his hooves dangle in the air.
You're getting away. I think not. Jeez. Gotta give you credit for trying.
Hellboy vaults over the tomb that Giurescu crashed into to find him lying in murky water, groaning in pain. Hellboy runs to him and reaches to grab him, but then there's just a bunch of snakes. So Hellboy climbs back out, and meanwhile, Rasputin and Ilsa chill in a field looking at the sky. Rasputin says some stuff about chaos and the Baba Yaga, who explained to him that, like, his fate had chosen him or something, and then Rasputin gave her half his soul, which she hid in the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree.
I, Grigory Efimovich Rasputin, was born in chaos. Ilsa Hopstein, would you be reborn? I will. You have been a destroyer of men. Would you become a destroyer of mankind? Yes. Please. Good. When the sun rises again, you will be changed forever.
Cut to someplace else in Romania. Liz and Sydney stand around as the sun rises, very bored. Then Agent Waller calls them down about a weird symbol that seems to be appearing on the stone wall in the daylight. Sydney uses his cool metal detecting powers to confirm that it is a door. Then the door creaks open into an old alchemist's lab, and Sydney discovers a body with a chastity belt and a hole in its chest lying around on this big wooden table. And Waller tells them that it's an artificial person called a homunculus. They're normally very tiny, but for some reason this one is a giant Frankenstein-esque man. But at least this version doesn't have that disgusting yellow skin, those black lips, and those watery eyes. Sydney asks what the hole in the chest is for, but Waller tells him that he doesn't know. And the two begin to investigate some tomes, as Liz walks to the homunculus and places her finger in the hole and ignites it, causing the homunculus to jump to life. Sydney races to grab Liz, but is jolted away with pain and burns, as Liz groans that she can't stop it. So Waller shoots her in the arm. Liz falls to the ground and the homunculus snaps Waller's neck and then mangles his corpse before it crashes out of the brick wall and disappears into the woods.
Hellboy to Bureau, Hellboy to Bureau. Can you hear me? This connection isn't worth crap. If you can hear me, I found Giurescu. He's alive, wounded, and still loose somewhere underground. I think the best bet is to blow this whole damn castle up and bring it down on top of him. Fortunately, there's like some kind of vampire Nazi arms deal here in the 40s. Anyway, I've armed everything up and I'm giving myself an hour to get out. I'm heading to that little village, so if you can hear me, come and get me.
Hellboy wanders down the halls as a voice calls out to him eerily. Then a wolf howls and a raven crashes through the window and Hellboy's like,
Oh, come on, I don't have time for this.
Then green smoke billows in front of him and Hecate appears and she talks down to him like every villain does. And Hecate is a Gorgon witch queen and she looks deep into his eyes and freezes him in place and commands Hellboy to stay with her and be Giorescu's stepdad. But Hellboy's like,
Whoa, you said on Tinder that you didn't have kids.
Hellboy and Hecate fight, and Hellboy eventually stabs her with a big-ass spear and causes her to crash out of the wall and into the sunlight, which causes her flesh to burn and shut off. It's gross. Oh, and this all took place over an hour because the bomb blows up. Meanwhile, on a cliff overlooking Castle Giorescu, Rasputin and Ilsa stare at the billowing smoke, and Ilsa asks to be made strong and to live forever. And then this fucking hatch opens up in the rock, and this Iron Maiden-esque thing rises out, and a little man steps out from behind it and is like,
Howdy there, my name's Koku, and welcome to the Occult Shopping Network. This here's the Maiden of You, favorite torture device of a long-ago Countess, Elizabeth Bathory. In this iron belly, so many young girls were cut and their blood was drained into some lovely warm iron pots, sold separately for 13 easy payments of $19.95, which was then used for bathing. All that blood kept the lady youthful, and her crow's feet were gone in mere hours, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, I said ladies and gentlemen, because I know you fellas have it too. Don't worry, we ship discreetly. So call 1-666-Baba Yaga to order your very own Maiden of You. Call now while supplies lasts.
Okay, I get it. Ilsa, just climb in. Watch your head. I got the size smaller in case it shrinks.
The door clangs shut and Rasputin holds his arms in the air, and then blood begins to seep out of the holes at the bottom of the Maiden of You. Then it begins leaking from its eyes. At the ruins of the castle, 3 old men dig Hellboy out of the rubble and take him to the crossroads. Hellboy awakens at night to find his hands cuffed and his Rasputin. Behind Rasputin is the Maiden of You. I guess he, got a hand card or something and rolled it down here.
You were the prophet of my new age, but you turned your back on me and yourself. You had a glorious purpose, but now you have none at all, and nature hates a purposeless thing. Goodbye.
Meanwhile, not Nick Fury and Abe Sapien zoom across the Romanian skies with jetpacks, tracking Hellboy's signal. They land at a small village that is seemingly abandoned, and they quietly make their way down the cobblestone alleys until they find the main street and discover every single door is shut tightly and has been painted over with a large cross. The two enter a church and find a priest standing alone in the darkness, and in his hands hangs Hellboy's belt. They call to him, but the man doesn't move, and Clark's like,
Okay, enough jerking us around, buddy.
And reaches to grab him when the man's head falls off and thuds to the ground, and the floor breaks from beneath them because I guess that guy's head was really heavy. Clark is almost immediately impaled by a giant spike, but Abe luckily dodges and slams into the wet ground. Then Rasputin's ghost appears before him, and Clark's jetpack explodes.
Look upon the great man whose life you took. Already the others have paid. Liz Sherman's life is ruined. Hellboy has been beaten and chained, and he'll probably die out in the woods. Of my murderers, you are the only one left unpunished.
Cut to the crossroads.
Giorescu!
Blair, what is this creature before me? Half dressed in the shape of a man? Hellboy, kill my kin, bring down my house.
even violate that sacred temple, which is my own body. I work out. My body is a temple. You should see all the protein you destroyed. Now, you shall realize the futility of your actions. Blood! I want your blood!
Oh, God, you're boring me to death. Come on. Come on! Pow! Huh. Interesting. No matter how hard you hit them, horses usually don't explode.
Then the Maiden of You becomes a giant and grows arms and a mouth and eats Hellboy.
Where am I?
Behold the pit, and the beast shall come forth out of the pit to break the heavens and loose the dragon to burn the world.
Who are you?
Does the darkness have a tongue and a voice and a name for its calling? Rahab Aktru Rahma Eshakul. It is the chaos speaking to you.
I think you got the wrong guy.
Loose the dragon. You were born into this world with one purpose. Deliver the world back into chaos. Wake your devil heart. Set upon your brow that crown of fire. Your coming of age is the death knell of man.
No!
Deny it one last time, and you will meet instant death. Take the key you hold in your right hand, and open the pit. You have only two choices.
Oh, yeah? Screw you! I choose door number 3. It's my goddamn life. I'll do what I want with it. You don't like that? Kill me if you can. I am gonna be sore in the morning.
Hellboy tosses his horns to the ground as Kate shows up, somehow. And Hellboy greets her and says that he lost track of Giorescu, but Kate's like, isn't that skeleton lying over there in the dirt him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that looks like him.
And then they walk through the destroyed woodland as Kate gives him the rundown of what happened to the others, before a helicopter picks them up. In the epilogue, Rasputin sits at the base of Yggdrasil sulking, and is greeted by his grandmother, the Baba Yaga.
Surely the lesser details of this plan were yours, but the design of the thing came from that cold place between the worlds.
I do not like the idea that I am only a pawn.
Like it or don't, you are what you have allowed yourself to become.
And yet, with your gift, I was able to transform Ilsa Hopstein.
Into what? Whose purpose did she serve? Yours?
I don't know.
Grigory, whose purpose do you serve?
Can't I have something for myself?
Why can't you get a good job like your cousin? You are a dead man, not a god, not a king, not even a witch. In the end, you are only a man. And maybe this is the end.
No. Grandmother, where is your chicken leg house?
Look,
I dreamt of it when I was a boy, and it has not changed at all.
stay with us. You're tired. Sleep.
No, I will go on a while longer. And who knows, maybe a man can make himself a god. Goodbye, Baba Yaga. Look after your good eye.
The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode of What Is, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it and subscribe for more content like this, among other things. Let me know what you thought of the comic and leave recommendations in the comments below. Also, don't forget to take a gander at my podcast, The Cruising Altitude. It's a podcast about me and my friend Saul watching every single Tom Cruise film. It comes out every 3rd of the month. I'll see you next time. Bye!